Hi, I'm Dana, and this is Highly Delicious. In our kitchens, when we are cannabis cooking, it is always nice to have everything prepared in advance. Today, I am doing a little extra infusing in my kitchen so that I can make a special hat cake. The thing that you want to do is heat your oil. This is oil that I'm going to use in a lemon cake that I'm making. Choose the amount of RSO that you want and then just slowly introduce it into the heating oil. You might be wondering how much oil or how much cannabis it takes to make that amount that I just showed you in RSO, Rick Simpson oil, or FICO. It takes approximately, that amount was probably about 1/8 of cannabis. And there's a little bit of guessing in that because I don't necessarily measure it out, but I can tell by looking. It has turned a little more golden and it's all mixed in nicely with our oil for our spring hat cake. Today, I am going to share a couple of recipes with you that were reminiscent of a very good friend of mine. When I first moved to Tulsa, she took me under her wings and really taught me a lot. And this was one of the things that she taught me. She had seen this on the cover of a Good Housekeeping magazine years and years ago, like 33 years ago, this year, because she made this cake for my daughter's first birthday. Connie's gone now, but I want to honor her with her pansy hat cake that she loved to make every spring for our birthdays, and also with one of her favorite sandwiches that I made, and that was tuna salad. I have infused a 1/2 cup of oil with about 25 milliliters of RSO, and I'm just going to put that down into my vanilla cake mix. You want to start with your favorite vanilla cake mix or make it from scratch, your choice. So my recipe calls for 1 cup of water. My granddaughter always says my Grammy cooks outside the box, and she's right, I love to. And I do believe that this recipe was one of the ones that got me to recognizing that you can use a box as a base. So it's not that big of a deal, but for me it was. Business was more my forte than cooking, and I didn't have quite the love for it then that I have now. So I've used 3/4 of a cup of cream that I just poured in there because I don't really care for using the water. This is creme de cassis. It is a wonderful grape liqueur that's great to use in the springtime with wines and all. I, as you know, like to go by my intuition, and my intuition is telling me that this would be a nice little addition in with our cream and our lemon. So I'm stepping outside the lines a little bit and adding creme de cassis. You can either do what I've done or stay with 1 cup of water. It all works great. Another little tip that Connie taught me was to add sour cream to my cake mixes, that it would really make the cakes moist and so forth. So I've always added either sour cream, or she said if I didn't have that, to add in mayonnaise. This is 1/4 of a cup. I'm going to add that into our mix. 3 eggs. I bet you all know what those are. And this is where we're going to get our best flavoring. For the lemon, I've used a yellow cake mix, so I'm going to add lemon juice. This is about 4 teaspoons of lemon juice. And for that extra spice, I have another friend that's a baker that gave me one of these, told me I need to have this super duper zester. She got it off of Amazon, and I really like it because look how easy it just does that. I happen to really like the flavor of lemon, so I'm going to be exaggerated with it. Add that in, lock this down, Yeah, I need a bigger bowl, don't I? Anyway, we're going to let that mix up, and our pans are already ready. They're done with the shortening and flour. You want your cakes to come out easily, so be sure and do that old-fashioned step. It really does make your cooking come out much more satisfactory. Our cake is mixing up nicely here. We've got our oven going at 350. Let's lift this up and see what we have. Ooh, that is a golden yellow, isn't it? I always start with this pan first because my cake mix is generally a little bit thick, and so it's really important that I have the right amount in here to be able to spread around and have plenty left over for the cake. I am using a pie plate greased for the bottom of my hat, and I'm using one of my other bowls for my KitchenAid, and I'm going to stick it in the oven to make the top of the hat. My daughter was here last night and said, I did not know you could put those things in the oven. I didn't either until I learned how to make this cake with Miss Connie Bird. She was an interesting woman. So, I think that's going to be enough. I always, you can see I don't have very much left in there, and I'm doing a good job of putting it on the floor. I'll just add this in here. This is just to give that little head part of the hat some definition, so it doesn't take a lot. I'm going to spread this around. Try not to move too much of the flour and shortening away. And yeah, this will give us a nice rise. Sometimes if I think I have a little extra in there, I might even scoop it for the hat top. So, as you can see, there is not very much in there. It's about a cup and a half, maybe two. Depends on the size of your batter and also the size of your cake that you are making. I am going to take this off of the top just so it doesn't make a mess. And I'm going to put these in at 350 degrees. I put my bowl on the top in the center. Take our pizza pan on the bottom, and this is the tricky part. You have to watch these babies because the bottom does cook so fast in comparison to the top. So I'm gonna put a 6-minute timer on my base and check that. We'll put a 20-minute timer on the hat, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have that done. I'm just going to add a little bit of the RSO into the butter here so that when you are doing whatever your icing is that you want to use, I like to use a stick of butter and powdered sugar to give that the viscosity that it needs. I'm going to now add in a little bit of butter and my RSO. Again, I'm going to go by what my gut tells me. You go by yours. I happen to know that mine is a little stronger than most people. So, there really is not an easy, fancy way to do all of this stuff. You just have to get in there and mess with it. The reason I'm doing this in the butter is because the RSO connects and melts with the butter. It was slightly warmed, not completely, and the better we mix this, the better it mixes into our icing and gives us an even distribution. I used a regular stick of butter with this icing rather than one of my infused because I didn't have a full stick of RSO, and I'm opting to add it in this way because the RSO is not quite as strong as some of my butters are that I use for other cooking. And I wanted you to have an idea of how easy it is to supplement if you don't want to have the full stock. So that's looking good. Let me catch that little extra. It's amazing how much potency is in what looks like a smidge. So let me just turn this off, introduce in my butter. All right, let's turn that back on and let this baby whip. We have plenty of time. And let's go back over here and check our cake top. Doing well. As you see, we've gotten our bottom off onto our plate, and I'm going to go ahead and ice this so that when my cake top comes out, it is ready to go on top of the icing. It's one of the little things that I found about time saving with it. It's much quicker to do it that way. Or if I'm in a hurry, not that I would ever run behind or anything, but just in case I do. Okay, there we go. Now I can move a little bit easier. Just do a nice, generous spreading. This is such a fun cake. For my daughter's first birthday party, we had about 30 or 40 adults that came, and we all dressed as our favorite Disney character. She was 1 year old, and we were celebrating taking her off of her breathing monitor. And I had had so many wonderful friends that really supported us during this time, and we just wanted them all to celebrate in Rachel's success and getting through the stage where she needed the monitor. So we dressed in costumes, and Connie wanted to make my daughter a special cake. And it was at that time that she found this particular recipe on the front of one of her magazines. She was so excited when she called me and told me that she had found the perfect cake for Miss Rachel. So now I'm just gonna make sure I have enough icing on here. Again, I'm kind of dividing up between the bottom and the top. I want to make sure that my top can be presented well. So we'll just mix this a little bit further, and here we go. Let me check that cake top real quick. Oh, we are so close. Actually, 2 more minutes. And that'll be it. So, just finish my cake here. I always come back and spruce this up a little bit more, so don't worry about making it perfect. If you worry about that too much anyway, it makes it hard to get anything done. Okay, go. You can make it smooth, you can make it lacy looking. You can just let your spirit express. As soon as that top is done, I'm going to flip it out, give it a few minutes to cool, place it right here in the center. I'm going to get my decor ready for the top of it. I'm going to have a ribbon, about an inch ribbon that I want to wrap around the center. We'll tie a nice little bow and it'll look like we're ready to go out to the gardens. So our cake top is done. I've started the icing on the base. I'm just going to place it in the center. Don't worry if you don't get it centered. I just figure that we make the bill of the hat look bigger that way. Again, don't you love it when there are no rules? Okay, so these are our ribbons. I have 3 ribbons cut here to make a bow. And let's get started with our icing. What I have found is that if I will take the icing and use a thicker application, around the base of it to fill in the connection. Try not to cut the cake as you're doing it. You just fill all that in. See how it's starting to look like a nice little sunbonnet? You can use several different types of flowers, so you don't have to make this just a spring cake with pansies, although pansies are a great, hey, we made it through the winter and now we are here for your springtime celebration. So I always choose pansies, and I just love the little happy things. But nasturtiums are also a great flower, and their color and shape is always very fragile and attractive on this cake. You can use rose petals to do your decor with. Lavender, chives, all kinds of great flowers are going to be springing up, and you can certainly choose your favorite one. So I'm just going to continue spreading. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, that gives us a good start. So now I'm going to find the back of my hat, which I'm going to call here. Get my longer strip. Actually, the strip that goes around and the strip for your bow are about the same. And this part was my friend Connie's worst aggravation, because it didn't just go on smoothly and easily. But if you play with it and work with it gently, you just kind of press all of that down into your icing. Looks a little messy, but we are not finished yet, so don't worry about that. So easy to get caught up in the little things that don't feel like they're going on there right. Not necessary. Easy bow. Connie Bird taught me how to make bows. I've made a fortune making bows in my career because I decorate for Christmas, and the first bow that she taught me how to make was in decorating my banister. There are just so many awesome people that come into our lives. I love sharing stories with you about them because I feel in my particular experience, I have met really awesome women, and I just love sharing all those stories with you because it gives us great conversation. Okay, so I tied that into the center, just a simple little square knot. Don't be afraid to pull, it is material, it's not going to tie or to tear on you. And just work it until you can get it where you want it. If you don't like the size of the little tags that you have, cut those babies off. Like the part that I'm tying in the center here. I actually had a short leg on one side, so I'm going to cut that one tie off. And voila, now no one knows that I'm a tie short. And just attach this little jewel here. Pull your bow out. And I've always used fresh pansies. We had a huge rainstorm last night, and I had to make adjustments for that, so I did find some little pansies at the store. The thing about cooking that makes me feel so much better about it is if I give myself a break that everything does not have to be so and perfect, I really enjoy cooking. When I try and make it all perfect, I am not so happy with it. So let's see how we can maybe start just putting our little pansies in here. Did you know you could eat pansies? I was shocked. I don't know why it never dawned on me that we couldn't eat flowers. I'll come in here and fill in some of these little holes and start from this side. Sometimes I add leaves from like my lavender or some of the different herbs that I have outside, just because it adds a little different dimension. But you'll find that whatever you need is going to be presented to you. So keep heart. There is no perfect or right spot, so go with your gut. As we're getting ready to go and enjoy this, I just want to share with you again that this is our spring pansy hat cake that my friend Connie Bird first made for my daughter's first birthday 32 years ago, and it's been a special part of our life ever since. I like to make one every spring to have for ourselves, or really just to celebrate special occasions, because life is a celebration. I'm taking delicious recipes that are uninfused, and I'm simply infusing it with the option that we have for using medical marijuana these days. The medical marijuana is something that we're going to be talking about on our next segments with Dr. Tate and so forth. So I really want you to join in and comment for us and ask us questions and things like that after you see our YouTube, because we really are finding everything that we are learning about this wonderful plant to be so healthy and such a great integration into our everyday life. It's not something that has to be as maybe gregarious as we often think of it, and kind of like, wow, man. But even though it does have that advantage, there is another side to this plant, and that's the side that we want to introduce to you all as a way of bringing everyone into a comfortable zone of recognizing that cannabis isn't about just getting high. It's about living a higher capacity of healthy living. So, thank you for joining us at Highly Delicious, and we look forward to having you back. I truly believe marijuana and wellness do go hand in hand.